Response video to Professor Anton. Thoughts about antinatalism. 17-minute video, so I'll play like a minute of it, and then I'll skip a couple and paraphrase, and then I'll play a minute and something like that. So leave us begin. The intro.
So I thought I would try to take time today to get into some of these discussions that have been going on about antinatalism. And I think what I want to do is see if I can lay out a couple of arguments, try to clarify, I guess, where I would position myself in regard to some of the concerns, and then see if I can maybe just talk about different angles into this discussion. Okay, I think to me the major problem or the most significant issue is what I would call the pervasive either-or logic. There seems to be a kind of operating logic where people, they go to extremes, you know. I mean, it's like either one has to have just relentless breeding that thoughtlessly happens, or, you know, people are pushing a button and taking everyone out. I mean, it just seems so odd the way that...
Well, look, you know, there's some circumstances that that's sort of the way it is. You either have nuclear power plants or you don't have nuclear power plants. And if you have them, you're certainly going to have to do it right, not wrong. So there's all kinds of opposite analogies I could throw at you. It's not about just being extreme for the sake of being extreme. It's recognizing the extremeness of the downside risk and the fact that it exists and that it can't be undone. You can't extract the addictive part of the nature of this living conscious organism thing, and that's what it's feeding on, and it's all a perception of value. There is no real cheese. We can go back to the Matrix and the spoon. There's no spoon. Well, guess what? There's no cheese. There's nothing real that you're psychologically chasing. The chase is purely an illusion in your brain that you need something. You don't need any of it. You don't need to survive. You don't need... Every single thing you need is a contrivance of your brain. It has nothing to do with anything real. And the thing that we know is real is that suffering matters. That it's the negative value weight. That everything should be sort of motivated to clean up, to fix, to repair. It is the elephant in the room. Alright, it's the guaranteed. You get rid of that, you've accomplished something. If that's the automatic good, preventing harm. That's the automatic good. Any other good is hard to develop a theory of, okay, because it is just perceptual. There is no cheese, just like there is no spoon. So anyway, I'll play the next couple of minutes and paraphrase, I guess. Alright, so now he's basically doing the argument he made before, which is the better is the enemy of the best, or the best is the enemy of the better, or whatever. That somehow we should be focused on these incremental advancements we do make, like we abolish slavery, and we give women rights, and some people become vegetarians, but obviously not enough. And, we do these little things to make the world a little bit better place, but we also do a lot of things to make the world a lot worse a place. You know, Fukushima, for example, and then all the national disasters, and the environment turning to shit, and the rainforest all cut down, and we go on down that list, too. So there's this mixed bag, and he's talking about the quality of life, and he acknowledges that, yeah, there should be abortion rights and the right to die, and that's all nice. I'm glad you acknowledge that it should be, but it isn't. And until it is, then maybe people shouldn't be reproducing until they have these things in place that are going to make it more possible not to force people on rides they don't want to ride. But I'm sure even when we have a right to die, you're not going to give it to a 5-year-old. So, you know, they're still going to have to put in their 18 years of the game, and they're going to, in that time, probably get attachments and encumbrances that are going to make getting out the exit door hard and difficult. So even that's kind of just bullshit. The point is, this is an experiment. This is a risk taken with somebody else's welfare. All right? For what possible accomplishment? Because you have a perception, a silly notion in your head that human beings need to exist on Earth. And so therefore, you're willing to throw these dice or to have somebody else throw them for you. I mean, even though you won't personally reproduce, it's okay if a bunch of other slobs do it. And, you know, as long as they do it within your guidelines of responsibility. You know, taking the risk that they'll have somebody who will die of ALS when they're 25 years old, or or be afflicted with it and live with it for 60 years, possibly, you know, and then finally, you know, choke on their own saliva in the end. I mean, we go down these lists. This isn't a free game. This isn't a gift. All right, life is an imposition, and it's got to be seen and heard as an imposition. If somebody's going to do it, if they're going to conduct the experiment, they should have some sort of environmental impact statement. You know, this is why I'm making a new Frankenstein. I think the world needs a new Frankenstein for this reason. I'm pretty sure my Frankenstein experiment will turn out okay for these reasons. I'm going to play with this thing. And I'm going to have a defense for it, a rational defense, not some defense, I want somebody to work my farm, I need somebody to carry on my genetic code because I'm related to the guy who grew the biggest potato in Ireland, and, you know, our genes are just so special because we're related to that guy who grew the biggest potato. This is all just bullshit. This is all psychobabble, and you can eradicate all of it. We don't have to be hungry for any of this tripe and superficial crap. Yeah. So I'll play some more and come back to this. Alright, just kind of bibble-babbling along here. So he did say in one part, life is sacred, which is just, you know, why not just say something stupid like peanut butter? Whatever. And again, he's sort of making this argument that somehow it's okay to be a little pregnant or something. You know, like there's some way you can do this thing, just be a little pregnant. And no, you can't. You're either going to do it or you don't do it. And if you're doing it, that's where you've opened up all these avenues of risk. There's just no way you're going to clean up life enough, because it's basically a zero-sum game. If you do it perfectly, you've got to zero. All right, you've satisfied your silly hunger for the potato chip, but that has no value to compensate for the guy still hungry for a potato chip he can't have, or the guy suffering, you know, horrible sufferings beyond just their unsatisfied desire, but also suffering on top of having unsatisfied desire. So now then he went into this whole thing about love. You know, there's not enough love. Yeah, so we can just get into this word games here. Do you mean lust? Do you mean desire? And you call that's still commercial, isn't it? I mean, are you really arguing that human beings have some sort of altruistic, I want to care for it kind of thing, and they're, you know, get real, all right? We have a hunger. Hungers motivate us, all right? And very, very, very few of us are hungry to satisfy or fix problems that are affecting other people. So that's kind of just bullshit. I mean, those memes would be good if we can get them rolling around in people's heads, but I would argue if we can get that good of a meme inside of people's head, then we can get the meme inside their head that loses all this ego crap, this whole idea that humans are doing something spectacular besides doing the, you know, penis vagina thing, animal belly thing. I mean, we're just eating and fucking and shitting. We're not doing anything. We've aggrandized this very poor play, because we've got these fancy sets and big special effects and things swinging around, but the story is run, spot, run. Okay, you got this run, spot, run script, and you got these, you know, 3D glasses, special effect bullshit to make this simple script look like it's something magnificent, and it's not. It's not Shakespeare, it's shit. So I'll play a little bit of his video.
Contemporary belief that one can have everything. And so people, they want careers, they want all kinds of products, they want to travel widely, they want lots of friends, and then they also want to have a family, and they just throw it in like it's one more thing. And, you know, it may be that very, very, very few people, if anyone, quotes, gets to have it all. I mean, you have to make a decision. I think some people, they choose family rather than career. Some people choose...
Yeah, well, whatever. Most of them don't even make a rational choice. It's an incidental, spontaneous, drunk in the middle of the night, stupid, idiotic choice. They allow the decision to take place. They'll just be reckless and just say, we'll just let the odds take place and we'll just have sex without protection or some other bullshit, and then they'll have a deliberate accident, basically. And so, yeah, that's how much responsibility, that's how seriously they take the experiment. And the reason why they don't take it any more seriously than that is because there is nothing in the pop culture. There are no memes roaming around that have this word imposition tied to child production, or that have the word experiment tied to child production. Somehow it's some sort of personal activity that an individual involves themselves in, and they don't have to take any responsibility for the social implications of what kind of monster they set loose on civilization. They have no responsibility at all, and it's, you know, they completely wash their hands. It's like a bankruptcy. Oh, I had a bankruptcy. Yes, my child turned into a fucking goddamn hoodlum on the street. I'll just say I'm bankrupt, so I don't have to take responsibility for the damage it's done. It's all bullshit. And if we impose that responsibility, if we imposed accountability, we require people to come up with their little environmental impact statement, their little explanation of why they really have to do this fucking thing, you know, then we'd have less of this thing happening. And especially if we didn't subsidize it monetarily, which is even more insane. Alright, so now he's making this rationalization, the typical thing, like, okay, I chose not to have kids, I don't really want kids, but other people who want kids, they want them for, some of them want them for legitimate reasons, because they're going to share their love, and it's going to be an expression of their love, or some other hokey-pokey bullshit, and it's going to make them happy. Well, look, you know, Typhoid Mary was happy being a cook, okay? The problem was she was a carrier of typhoid. And so every family she worked for, she killed them. All right? She kept denying that that was the truth. The doctors showed her the evidence. They pointed out to her, this is why every family you work for dies. And she just wouldn't accept that truth because she loved being a cook. And so she just couldn't quit being a cook. All right? So, but this is the imbecility of it. This is all a delusion in people's heads. And you're just validating their delusion. You're saying, yes, instead of Typhoid Mary realizing she just really shouldn't be a cook because she's a carrier of this horrible disease and finding something else to do with her time, no, we should find a way. Maybe we can make her a bubble that she could live inside of and she could still be a cook, and we should go to some lengths to satisfy this desire. No, just get rid of the desire itself, okay? The simple solution isn't to find some elaborate mechanism to make it somehow work, you know, to create some kind of nuclear ramp and, you know, hydrofoils and, you know, flying cars and all some sort of technical solution or some sort of extravagant solution, like we're going to try to make engineers so all the families are good families and everybody gets to grow up and leave it to beaver land. That's still not going to solve the problem. I grew up in that world, okay? And it still doesn't make me say life makes sense. It still doesn't undo the simple carnage that takes place right outside my front door. So it doesn't fix the problem. It's not a solution to the dilemma of life on Earth. Life is made of consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, and addiction. You haven't come up with any other words that aren't phantasmagorical fairy dust, and you haven't found any way to extract any one of those four. And they're all bad. This is a bad recipe. All right? And you keep wanting to try to make it into something. No, shit, piss, barf, puke, oil, carbon dioxide, you mix it in a bowl, and it just isn't going to be anything. You're not going to be able to make any kind of edible cake out of that crap.
Family and with their children. And this is where I guess I want to chime into this, and this is from my own subject position, which is as an adopted person. I posted a video earlier on about when I met my biological mother, and it was really pretty amazing. And, you know, growing up as an adopted person, you know, I thought about I guess everyone has. I don't mean it this way, but I think I personally have thought a lot about the possibility that I could have not been. You know, I was born in Madison in '68, and arguably, you know, abortion laws were, you know, they were right there at the cusp. And all
right, well, I'll probably move through some of this stuff. I mean, yeah, these personal stories are nice and all that stuff, but yeah, I won't really respond to that. It's really not about how nice your family is, how good your upbringing is. That doesn't change the facts of life. It doesn't change the facts that we are all addicted, that we're all doing this ego thing, that we all feel really good when we win the competition. And if we really think about it, we see all the refuse left behind, you know, the losers. If we really had to do the math, we'd realize, oh, you know, I win, 5 other people now feel like shit, so I really didn't win anything, theoretically. It's an empty victory. We can learn through memes, through understanding that this is not a winnable game. It's a very delicate, tricky game. And if you don't do it with this precision, with scalpel precision, you're going to waste suffering. You're going to waste pain. And so it just isn't worth playing with. This is a Frankenstein experiment that has to be done so perfectly that you can't justify doing the experiment. It's a technology, like let's say we figured out how to harness the sun and we could make little baby suns on Earth, but there was this huge risk that it would consume the whole fucking Earth. There'd be a point where you'd be rationally saying it's not worth it. Whatever benefit we can gain from this, you can't play with it. It's too dangerous. Life is too messy by its very nature. So what else do I got to say to that? Yeah, it's just not about bad families. I know you want to try to make it about bad families, but really people aren't antinatalists because there's too many dysfunctional families. Even if you made all the families functional, you haven't solved the human problem. Well, this part was really disgusting, so I didn't want to play it again. He's basically implying that the people who are concerned about suffering are just feeling guilty, and so therefore they're just taking on somebody else's suffering just to make themselves feel better. No, they don't have some genuine sense of horror and disgust and revulsion at watching something squirm and scream and yell. I mean, this is just puke. I mean, it's a puke accusation. Fuck you. You're going to have a lot harder time making a rational argument, explaining to people why they should enjoy watching a hunter chase down a deer, stick an arrow in its ass, and watch the deer slowly die over a 12-hour period. You're going to have a hard damn time making any rational argument why a human being shouldn't react with a little bit of a tear over that one. Then you are going to be able to justify your silly notion of this idea of love, and that somehow people are not after sex or prestige or some other selfish motivation for their entering into relationships, and that their love is pretty goddamn bigoted, pretty goddamn completely contrived psychological egomaniacal crapola. That's a lot easier to demonstrate. If you want to find insincerity, you'll find a ton of it in your goddamn LOVE word. That's the big fake, fucker. Empathy isn't the fake word. Love is the fake word.
Okay, that said, I don't think other people can decide for other people.
It's just such a ludicrous statement. A ludicrous statement. If you decide to have a kid, you are deciding for another consciousness. I mean, how can you possibly say somebody can't decide for other people when they're deciding for other people? If you say they can't, nobody should be allowed to decide for other people, then obviously people trying to decide for other people in the sense they're stopping other people from making a decision for other people, right? I mean, come on. It's like calling the justice system a murderer because it stops the goddamn serial killer. I mean, it's just ludicrously stupid. It's not murder. They have a reason why they're prosecuting, okay? And so the person judging the person who is imposing the experiment, who is deciding for another consciousness that they're going to enjoy the roller coaster, so they shove them in the seat and they tie them into the seat and they force them to ride the damn thing. And you're talking about no one should decide for somebody else? Well, that's exactly what a birther is doing. Come on. This is a silly argument.
I think it's in my right to tell other people whether or not they think life is worth living.
That's not the point. Whether their life is worth living is their right. To decide for somebody else that life is worth living, that's fucking bullshit. That's that's an irresponsible leap that because nature gives you the tools to produce a baby that somehow you have a right. Well, we're smart enough to know that that's not where rights come from. Rights don't come from nature. All right, they come from some other higher logical place. They don't come from the fact that you can do something. I have a foot. Does that mean I have a right to stick it in your nutsack?
An existential decision. Now, it doesn't have to be either or. It doesn't mean that I can't say, look, there are conditions of hardship and injustice that make this a very risky, chancy deal, and there's going to be hardship all the way, and you know what? We all die in the end. There you go.
Well, guess what? That doesn't make up for it, right? The fact that we all die in the end, we all didn't make that choice. I didn't say, oh yeah, enter me in the stupid lottery where you win and then you lose. Okay? Where it doesn't matter. Even when you win, you lose. So what's the fucking point? That's right. It all is kind of futile and stupid. We all die anyway. We shouldn't even need to go any further than that in terms of just pure logic and say, well then really what is the fucking point? I mean, what is the point of starting if you can't finish? I mean, really. No point. So it's stupid. And if you're going to finish in some, like I said, usually pretty harsh, drawn out, gotta kill you physically kind of way. We don't kill you mentally, we kill you physically. Hard. Alright, now he's talking about how it'd be good if people adopted and all that kind of crap, and we're just back again to this argument that somehow if we have good families, everything's going to be okay, which really isn't the substance of the human dilemma or the living thing on Earth dilemma or the sentient life on Earth dilemma. And then he follows up with this, you can't say it's diluted for people who want to express their love and have children. And yes, you can call it diluted. It's as diluted as hating homosexuals or any other kind of bigotry. It's a stupid perception in their idiotic brain. And it's taking their need and saying, my need is important enough for me to roll these dice with somebody else's fate. I will, because I need to satisfy a need, I'm going to enter Gary in a lottery where there might be a 1 in 15 chance he's going to get run over by a bus. Or there's a 1 in 5 chance of this, and there's a 1 in 4 chance of this. And so he's taking somebody else's welfare, they're taking that, and they're saying their need justifies them rolling these dice with somebody else's welfare. Now that's deluded, in my opinion. It's a delusion of grandeur. It's a delusion of preposterous arrogance to think you have the power or the authority or the right to play a game with something else's welfare.
There is an objective truth, but then I can also tell other people that they're wrong about their own appraisal of life. Well, okay, but then they should be able to tell me that I'm wrong, too. See,
yeah, they can say it all they want, but they have to come back with an argument, okay? So, yeah, of all you people who are so convinced that life makes sense, life on Earth makes sense, consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, and addiction, that those are good ingredients that are going to process into something meaningful, that there's some way you can make singularity out of that crap, okay? This stupid game of chase, this cheese-chasing nonsense. Make a counter-argument demonstrating that it's not just cheese-chasing nonsense. Maybe come up with some of your spiritual crap or your sacredity. Yeah, show us the little golden chalice of sacredity, all right, that makes it all okay, that justifies it. But yes, you're entitled to judge other people's philosophy, but you're going to have to make an argument to back that judgment up. You can't just say, well, you're deluded. No, you have to explain why it's a delusion. Why is consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, and addiction wrong?
This is called a one-way mirror, and it's basically an unsavory political move to justify one's own positions and just disregard other people's claims. But if you go to the adoption issue, okay, so my parents, they couldn't have kids, and then through adoption they could. My brother and I, my brother and I.
All right, well, this is the personal crap, so we're not going to be bothered with that. Look, we all go through these things. We're all here for no good reason. My parents, they had two daughters, and so they said, oh, yeah, let's try for a third. They ended up with twins, so they ended up with 4 kids, and they didn't want 4 kids. They didn't really want 3, but they wanted to do the little son thing, and so they got the little son. But they got a son who, isn't going to pass on the family name. So, yeah, there's all that kind of bullshit in other people's heads. They had in their head, okay, we need a son because we're the last. He's the last living one, right? And so, yeah, got to have a son to carry on the name. Well, the son said, fuck you to that nonsense because it's just that fucking goddamn nonsense. people and their damn love affairs with goddamn names and their fucking genetics and their goddamn ethnicity. Come on, the human race is a laughable fucking goddamn... It's more laughable than an upside-down jack-in-the-box. I mean, it's just a fucking bad joke. Human beings are silly motherfuckers. Alright, that whole spiel about adoption again, very nice, but it really doesn't have anything to do with the subject. And what if the amazing atheist adopts you or something? And this whole adoption thing, like, yeah, it'd be really great. You know, kids should get adopted and all that stuff, but it's almost like we should have a draft. We should almost impose kids on people who don't want them. Alright, because as soon as somebody wants kids, then they want it to feed them, okay? And you're already in trouble. I mean, if you're looking at having kids as being a good time, you got the wrong attitude right from the start. Because if you're thinking that it's going to be possible for you to have a good time while you're handing the car keys to your 17-year-old kid, and you're going to have a good time, if you think that's going to be a good time, or your daughter's going out on a date, and she's a little bit wild, and just so you're going to have a good time, no, you're not going to have a good time. So if you're planning on having a good time having kids, then you shouldn't be a goddamn parent. But whatever, I don't even want to get in on that. This has nothing to do with antinatalism. This has nothing to do with the life equation, which is basically contrived positives and real negatives. Alright, you got these fake, synthetic, little plus signs, and you got these real, hard, negative signs, and you aren't accounting for any of that. Yeah, district court. Yeah, right. 11 o'clock at night. Fucking assholes. Come on, you can't be more funny than that. Call up ordering a pizza or something. Goddamn trolly fuckers. Anyway, back to this crap.
Die with dignity. That people shouldn't have to be on ventilators and on other kinds of, I guess, just mere kinds of living that reduce them and bring more hardship and agony and suffering to the world.
Yeah, well, isn't this evidence of the fact that the whole thing is fail? I mean, we've got 10,000 years of civilization, and we still haven't grown up enough not to let people die in a civilized manner. I mean, isn't that reason enough to think, well, yeah, that's right, human beings really aren't up to the job. They really shouldn't be building nuclear power plants. They really shouldn't be planning future civilization, because they're totally idiotic, moronic, sadistic lunafucking-ticks. Alright? Because they can't even get something simple like that right, because they got all these old fables in their goddamn head. They're a bunch of ignorant, dumb monkeys playing with nuclear bombs.
I think death is a gift in a certain way.
Oh, just don't do this shit. Death is just the fact. It's a biological built-in fact. There can be no reproduction without death, obviously, especially on island planets. Alright, so that's what death is, alright? It's a contrivance of natural selection again. There can't be any evolution, there can't be any development, there can't be any growth, there can't be anything without this stupid cycling of our genetic code over and over and over, and this remixing of it. And the only way that can take place is they got to keep killing you off.
There's a gift in a certain way that when life is very, very bad, and I'm talking about endless suffering and hardship all around.
Yeah, well, why should it have to be any of that? Why shouldn't it just be, if I'm not fucking hungry, why do I have to sit at the fucking table? If I don't want to eat the crap on the plate, I have no desire to do it. Why the fuck should I still be here? Why should you assholes say, no, you're not in enough pain yet. We have to wait till you're really in pain before we're going to let you out. I mean, it's just stupid. If somebody doesn't want it, leave them the fuck alone. Let them get the fuck up and get the fuck out.
A person, they can take their own life. And if it's illegal, well, they have to be successful. I mean, that's just the deal.
Well, yeah, and they're less likely to be successful when it's not legal to buy the mechanics of death, because obviously dying's not simple, right? I mean, we have a whole problem figuring out how to execute people, because, we got to do it with some sort of dignity. So, yeah, but, it's just not that simple.
Be illegal? No. It probably shouldn't. We should have contractual ways to specify.
Again, should have. We should have virtual reality. We should have the right to die. We should have free cotton candy. We should have blah, 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 blah. We should have a cure for cancer. We should have. You can do all that forever. All right? But the wheel is still a rickety piece of shit. It's still a garbage roller coaster. And all you're talking about is what flavor popcorn we have while we ride this rickety, rusty piece of shit roller coaster. Like, oh yeah, okay, we should have a little LCD screen in our little cart, and we should have, buttered popcorn, and we should have some free Coca-Cola. And you're just talking about the condiments that are on the shit ride.
And people should be able, at a certain age or certain physical conditions, with family consent and other provisions.
Yeah, why not just the consent of who I say should be my guardians? I should be able to choose guardians when I'm 18 years old, and those guardians should make the decision for me. Not just because somebody genetically had me, they own my life, they own my destiny. Fuck my family. All right, I want to give authority over my rights to people who are going to respect my rights.
To end their own life in the same way that a person ought to be able to.
This again is not on the subject of antinatalism, so I'm going to just play some more of this crap and see if he actually gets back on the subject or even comes near the subject, because this isn't the goddamn subject. Alright, now he's getting on this family crap again and going back to the historical roots where, there wasn't any IBM, there was just your local grocer who screwed you over. If he was the only shop in town, and so you had to drive 70 miles to go get stuff because the guy 10 miles away ripped you the hell off. Let's not even get into that. Like, the good old days, the old days where family ruled, where family told you who to marry, when family, told you how you were going to work and what you were going to be. Screw all that crap. It sucked then, it sucks now. And you're off the subject. You're just completely off the subject. He talks about an owner's manual. He said, but people should have an owner's manual. Well, the problem is, Professor, if you're writing that manual, you're not going to include in there these fundamental truths of how we exist and what we are. You're describing the car by talking about the glitter paint, and it's got leather seats, and it's got a little sparkly dashboard, but you're not getting to any of the roots of it, the mechanics of it, that it consumes this horrible gasoline, and it produces this pukish smoke from its little exhaust pipe, and it'll bankrupt you if you crash into something or whatever. I mean, you're just there's no point in an owner's manual that doesn't include the reality of our existence, which is a DNA molecule evolving in terms of parasitic relationships and parasitic interrelationships over 4 billion years, and that's all we're the product of. A bunch of parasites parasitically parasitizing each other.
It really dispersed people. It left people a lot of cold relations, a lot of loveless relations, a lot of relations of comfort and ease and convenience in a big, lonely, empty house.
No, what civilization has done and what progress has done is give us an intelligence, okay? We know evolution now. We know all kinds of things, so we can't be deluded by your fables and your fairy stories anymore, okay? We do understand consumption and reproduction and addiction and cannibalism. That we have this psychology that feeds on the harm to other people, that we gain satisfaction sometimes in watching somebody else's failure. We're sick motherfuckers. That's what we've learned.
Right. I don't think any of these things, though, are really about ending the next generations of life. I think the larger question is about love. And about what do people want? Do they want more trinkets?
Again, want. What do people want? Yeah, why don't you point to me to this one of these wants that doesn't have this genetic heritage? This doesn't have something to do with consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, and addiction. Why don't you show me one of these non-addictive wants, one of these wants that has real integrity, real meaning, that isn't something that's contrived in our psychology to motivate us to play a game that has no sensible conclusion. It can never be won. It's like tic-tac-toe. Okay? It's a game only infants can play. Life is a game only the ignorant can play. It has no meaning to an intelligence because it is too preposterously stupid, too preposterously inefficient for any intelligence to look at this game and say, yes, I want to occupy my time fucking playing this pointless, non-winnable, idiotic, inane, stupid game.
They want more little consumer goods, more crap, or do they want...
Yeah, why don't you point to the non-crap, like I said. I mean, guys thinking, I'm going to try to fuck my brother's wife, and I'm going to do all the scheming and the maniacal little wheeling and dealing and this cheap seductions and this the cheap thieving and thievery that we conduct on each other. Come on. I mean, it's not just corporations that suck, and they don't suck for any reason. They suck because people basically suck.
Achievement? Well, I think there are. There are lots of things to do with one's life. There are goals, and I think somebody who wants to say, well, life sucks because it's just a big hole that you fill.
Yeah, that's right. And know what it is? You know what? The only good life you can live is being a really, really good janitor. If you can go out into the world and clean up the messes, clean up the slop and the waste that's been produced by the existence of life. But that's really the only real job. The only real good job is fixing, the slop that is created by creating the slop. All right? So, again, I'll give you back to the analogies I've given you before. I mean, the simple solution to the sewage leak is to plug the leak, not to keep mopping up the sewage. Just plug the fucking hole.
And it's nothing but a gap that needs fixing. Okay, so what? Who said it was supposed to be other than that? That's wonderful.
Who said it's supposed to be other than that? That's what intelligence does. Intelligence says tic-tac-toe is not sensible. It's only for an ignoramus, a buffoon, a fool, a fucktard who can't make any judgments, who has no fucking logic or intelligence. It's a game for things that are trapped, things that are too stupid to get out of the maze. All right? It's not a thing that's something that doesn't live on ignorance can fucking play on purpose. All right? It's only something somebody can be trapped into playing. It's like forcing somebody into a dungeon and then giving them the goal of climbing out of the dungeon. This is stupid. A smart person doesn't do that on purpose. A smart person doesn't say, I'll walk down into the dungeon and now I'll force myself to figure out a way to get out. That's not what intelligence would do.
Could be greater than a project that needs accomplishing. The fact that there's always still something outstanding, that's what makes life so beautiful. Right?
Whatever. Again, more just whitewash, pansy bullshit. Doesn't mean a damn thing. Oh, what makes life so beautiful is the fact that you can run and have a heart attack and die. Yeah, you can be a horse in a horse race and break your leg and make funny floppy things on the ground, and everybody will get a good laugh.
And tons of projects, and many of them are beautiful projects. Projects of artistic creations, of collective trying
Mumbo jumbo. Like somehow now we're going to get into some sort of semantical argument about the real intrinsic value of artistic taste. I mean, come on. Desire machines, okay? Yeah, there's a great piece of art. Okay, yeah, it satisfies me, but obviously it probably isn't other people's taste. They probably want to see a giant Snickers bar or a Campbell soup can.
Figure out sustainable ways of living. I mean, what a project. To people who have vision, who want to implement their vision, it's almost like...
the sustainable ways of living, was really good for Christianity, It really was kick-ass win all the way just to kill everybody else. So that worked for the Christians. But whatever, this whole sustainable ways of what? Sustainable ways of forcing yourself into a dungeon and climbing out, dying. Force your kid into the dungeon, have him climb out and die. His grandkid, you force him in the dungeon, he climbs out and die. And then the fourth kid, he gets stuck in the fucking dungeon. He never even climbs the fuck out. No, he gets halfway up the wall, falls down, breaks his fucking hip, and dies miserably on the ground, eaten by maggots.
Been a richer time to be alive. It's a lot of hardship.
Whatever. Like I say, all this subjective crap about how much you still desire. You're still hungry for the crap on the plate. Okay, the little plate of crap and you're still hungry for it, so you're still wolfing it down. All right? That's not the subject of antinatalism. The subject is it real crap? Are you eating anything that's real? Are you desiring anything that's real? Or is it just a contrivance of your friggin' psychology? And is there some way you can make the suffering unreal? I know you've done that, but is there some kind of logical way you can make that suffering unreal? The 6 million Jews in the Holocaust slowly dying of starvation or other means, whatever you choose historically, fact-wise. Yeah, how do you undo that? How do you correct for that? How do you compensate for that? Which one of your little garnishings on your plate of gruel makes up for that? What little painting fixes it?
You know, somebody there is working on their final exams into medical school because they want to go, cure cancer, and they get hit by a drunk driver. There's injustices.
Yeah, but so what? Again, you're just again looking back to nature, and you're just saying, well, that's the way nature is, and that's the way the game is. So it's tic-tac-toe. So you play the tic-tac-toe. Well, no, it's stupid. Okay, again, why would an intelligence glorify that? Why would an intelligence put tic-tac-toe on high and say that's the monument? We have to always value the tic-tac-toe. We live for the tic-tac-toe. You're just completely owned by a DNA molecule, and you won't concede that simple truth. Just admit it. It owns you. You are part of the DNA Borg.
It's not fair. I understand. What do you do? You know, I think...
what you do is you tell people to stop experimenting. You just say, quit playing with it, okay? Jerk off all you want to whatever you jerk off to. Enjoy the hell out of your life. Party like it's 1999. Do whatever the fuck you want. Just don't impose it on something else, idiot.
There's a dawning awareness. People are becoming more and more self-aware. I didn't think, throughout history, awareness ebbed and flowed. In Greece, it was at a heyday, and it disappeared for a while. Sort of self-consciousness seemed to somewhat waned. And then Renaissance, Enlightenment thought, ooh, boy, robust self-consciousness.
Yeah, now, look, it just has to do with who has time to do the thinking and the philosophizing and all that kind of stuff. So obviously when you get caught in certain things like industrial revolutions, everybody's got their eyes on the prize kind of thing, and no one's taking the time to do the serious thinking shit, except for your Einsteins and a few other people.
Here now in the electric age, I guess it's ebbing and flowing in different directions. Increasingly, people are self-aware, and they're realizing their own concerns, and they're saying, you know what, kids are not for me, family is not for me. I'm more interested in different kinds of community and different ways of living.
Well, again, who cares? This is all just subjective crap. The point is what is life, and what game are we playing? And is this something other than consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, addiction? Is it something other than tic-tac-toe? Is it something other than just inanely a stupid contrivance of a DNA molecule? And how much glory and sacredity should it have as a game? I mean, we're not talking about the pieces. They're here. They're going to want to play the game. They're made to play the game. I'm a piece. I want to play the game. I'm in the game. The point is, should the game continue after I'm done playing?
My life. There are still many people, though, who their primary value is family. And if they're concerned and they're caring and they're loving and...
Yeah, right, okay, I could say those same words about a pedophile. Oh, if he's concerned and he's loving and he just wants to marry the 3-year-old, it's okay then. No, it's still bullshit.
The wherewithal and the commitment to help bring better citizens into the world, I don't think any of us are in a position to judge.
Daydreamer. Yeah, everybody's in a position to judge, and the point is we're gonna judge even the reality of that person that you're describing, who wants to bring somebody in the world, so they're gonna be the next fixer of things. No, I don't think so.
Other people, whether they can or cannot have kids.
Yeah, right. Nobody wants to give birth to Gandhi, Nobody wants to give birth to somebody who's going to sacrifice themselves to burn down civilization, to be the rebel, to be the guy in the foxhole for 50 years. Nobody wants to give birth to that. They want to give birth to Good Time Charlie. Anyway, or they want an actor so they can, be, I'm the father of the actor. Yeah, it's an ego bullshit crap. It's not made out of anything real or valuable. It's all fucking I want. It doesn't have anything to do with the universe needs humans. It has to do with some asshole human saying I want. Not about the universe needs. I want. Alright, so, till next time, and such.